All right, guys, today we're going to talk about this, money. I have another one. Money, money, money. You like money. I like money. So this should be fun. I'm going to tell you not about these dollar bills, but about a different dollar bill. I have that dollar bill in my office. It's not exposed like this. It's in a little plastic, currency. Like if you had a rare coin or something, you seal it up in that. It's in one of those deals. Someone bought that for me. I actually didn't, but it's a nice gift. So I want to tell you about this one particular dollar and how it came into my hands. So in academia, when you do your dissertation, the person who's in charge of it is called your dissertation chair, and then you have a committee. But your chair is really the most important person because they work with you on that document from the beginning to end, and they really decide when you're done, and they steer the committee. And so they're a very important person. And my chair was a guy named Bill Gardner when I was at Ole Miss, University of Mississippi. Bill was a great guy. He became a friend. I spent holidays with him and his wife and kids because I was single most of the time in my doctoral program, and I didn't have any family around, so I had nowhere to go for Christmas or any of the holidays. So he's a very kind and nice guy. And Bill worked for a guy named Mark Martinko, who I think is retired from Florida State now. And Mark worked for a guy named Harold Kelly, pretty famous guy. Kelly was at University of California, I think, last in his career. And so I call Bill Gardner my academic father. And Mark Martinko is my academic grandfather. And Kelly is my great-grandfather, I guess. Grandfather's father. Yeah, great-grandfather? Yeah. And it's a weird thing, but it's all meant with great affection because they put forth a lot of effort to get us through a lot of training. And when I graduated with my dissertation, when I completed my dissertation, it was a busy time and a stressful time. I had a new job lined up, and I had a young family, a new baby, and wife. And we were moving the day after, actually. I rented the U-Haul the same day I defended my dissertation, loaded it, and we left the next day. So I was apprehensive. And then to add to that, Bill Gardner, my academic father, called me into his office and told me a little story. He told me this story. He said this started before Kelly sometime, but they've lost track of who and what. The legacy, we don't know really where it began, but he was just filling me in. He said when Mark Martinko graduated from wherever he graduated from, Kelly sat him down and had a talk with him and said there's a custom that either he had begun or it had been passed on to him, where when you graduate, you take 5 $1 bills, just like these, 5 of them, and during your entire academic career, you pass those dollars to students that you feel like have achieved great things or have potential. Really, whoever you want, but you just have $5 in your entire career to give away to PhD students who you want to share this legacy with and pass it on. And when Bill graduated, so Mark received one of those from Kelly, and when Bill graduated, Bill had 3 of those remaining. He had only given away 2 of them, and he gave away the 4th one to Bill Gardner. And then Bill took that dollar, that $1 that Mark Martinko gave him, added 4 more dollars to it, and throughout his career, he had given away 4 of those $5. The $1 he had left was the one that Mark had given him, and it was an old dollar. He didn't know for sure, but he thought it was probably the one that Mark got from Kelly. So this dollar went back quite a ways that we couldn't even trace. And he said, I only have 1 more. Once you give all 5 away, that's the game. So I've been holding on to this. I've had some great students and people that I believed in, but it's hard to let this go. It's very sentimental. And I said, yeah, I totally understand it. I get that. But I didn't really know why he was telling me the story. And then he looked at me and he said, well, I didn't until today. And he slid the dollar on the table to me. So this has to go to you. And use that little story as an example, because what do you think that dollar is worth to me? I mean, 99 cents. Would I take 20 nickels or 10 dimes for it? 4 quarters, 2 50-cent piece, a beautiful silver dollar worth $1.25 or $2. Would I trade $100 for it? It's priceless because of the intrinsic value that it carries. Now, I have to tell you, I told this story, the first time I ever told it was to a group of graduate students in Daytona. And I probably told it better than I did just now, but I was making it up at that moment. And a girl, a lady in the class was crying a little bit. And so I didn't have the heart to tell her, I'm just kidding, I made that story up, because it came out quite beautifully. It is a really beautiful story. I didn't ever receive that dollar. I just have a good imagination, I guess. But wouldn't it have been a beautiful thing? Isn't that something that you can do for other people? Can't you create those kind of stories? Can't you create the intrinsic value in the rewards that you give to people? Can't you explain the meaningfulness behind your gestures? It's not that we're all that and we have that much to offer people, like, oh, my approval or my dollar bill will mean so much. But we can just add value to things that would otherwise be just extrinsically rewarding by telling the person what it means to us to give it to them, how proud we are of them, or how happy we are for them, or how rare that award is, or whatever the case may be. Lots of times money has different meanings to people. Obviously, if you make a lot of these every year, the extrinsic value is going to have lesser value to you. If you make very little money, a dollar might have a greater impact. It's just in terms of extrinsic rewards, because someone who makes very little money can take every dollar and use it. Sometimes in class I've asked the students, like, if I gave this to you, it wouldn't have a lot of meaning. I mean, who even wants it? And a few people raise their hand and say, really, do you want it? I mean, I'll give it to you. And I've given several dollars away. And I think it was actually kind of meaningful to the student, just because it was the experience of, in a large classroom setting, being the one to sort of receive something like that. And it was a real pleasure to give it. It's always surprises me also, as a giver, as a person who would strive and want to be generous, how good it feels when I'm able to give something that's heartfelt. It has intrinsic value in the way I give it. Whether they receive it that way or not is another matter. It sure feels good to give something and genuinely mean, I want this to be of great value to you. I wish it would. I wish you would see the value of this. So when you're reading chapter 3 on motivation, and it talks about intrinsic and extrinsic rewards, when we're talking about motivation hygiene theory in particular, Herzberg, he says money can be both intrinsic and extrinsic in its reward value. And that's so true. If I give you $1 as an exchange for your services, it's extrinsic. It's 99 cents, 100 cents. Have I been saying 99 cents this whole time? I don't know what's wrong with my brain. Anyway, it's 100 pennies worth, 20 nickels, 10 dimes. If I give it to you and say, this is a small token of our appreciation. My brother makes a lot of money in his career, a fair amount of money in his career. And sometimes he'll get like end of year bonus thing, a little extra bonus. And they think it's going to be motivational to him, but he makes enough money that if they give him $2,000 or $3,000 or something, it really has virtually no effect. After you pay taxes on it, it doesn't turn out to be much. So, but people are often confused by that. They think if I give you money, you'll be rewarded by it, and that reward will lead to motivation. But it's not true. Money can be motivational, but has to have meaning behind it. So really think about that. It's a really big takeaway for a class like this. If you watch that Guido Sarducci skit, the Saturday Night Live skit at the very beginning of this chapter that I insert in the book here for you, hopefully you'll you'll see that the intention in my lecture stuff, this content I'm recording, is that not that I'll introduce so many facts to you and add a lot of content to the book. The book's fine. It's that I'll elaborate on it and expand on it and hopefully challenge you to think about things in a way that's fundamentally different, that really can help you as you go out and work as a manager and deal with trying to increase the reward value of something like $1. Sometimes it's something that costs far less than $1. This was free to me. I just picked it up. It says E-prop. It's off my powered paramotor. I ordered a new propeller from France, and he sent this to me. So I don't know, who could I give this to that it would have a value? If I gave it to you, you might say, oh, that's cool. My professor gave me, it's just a little keychain type thing. But it wouldn't have that much meaning. But if I gave this to someone I've been flying with for a long time, or I don't want to be overly dramatic, but let's say that someone got injured that I was flying with, and I visited them in the hospital, and I said, I don't know, what do you get someone? I feel so horrible. I'm so sorry that happened. And I took this out of my pocket, and I said, listen, I really have enjoyed carrying this, but I want you to carry it. And I took it off my own key ring, and I gave it to them. What kind of meaning could it potentially have? This was free for me, but it could be very meaningful, and it could be very motivational to that person. So think about the reward value, not just in terms of the monetary value or the extrinsic value of it, but the intrinsic value. You can always add intrinsic value if you're thoughtful. And the neat thing is, intrinsic value is almost always free. So don't pass it up. Don't lose those opportunities. All right, see you in the next one.